What's going on, Dominators? Eldar here. Super excited to be here today with Josh from Blue Goat Marketing. I know Josh for a very long time. We have been, internet buddies and been talking on Facebook for years, actually. It's crazy, like literally
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the first thing I told him, I was like, man, I'm excited to see you because, sometimes we know people and you kind of see
Yeah.
them as your buddies and stuff like that, but you
Yeah.
never jump on a call and stuff like that, which is weird. So
Yeah.
this is super, super fun for me to be here. And
Yeah.
one of
Same.
the other things, say what?
I said same. Yeah.
Oh,
Glad to be here. Yeah.
yeah. And it's also exciting because we're gonna go through a case study that he have, and a success that he was able to bring, and he's done a bunch of really cool stuff. So maybe without further ado, Josh, just who are you? Who are
Yeah. Yeah.
you?
So I've been in the marketing agency space for we're about to hit our 10-year mark. So we're real excited. We're gonna have a little party for the staff. Pizza party and cake. No, I'm just kidding. But almost 10 years of doing this. We started off as an SEO only agency, and then over the years we evolved, realizing we had to be able to provide multiple services, right? So we got into other things, but SEO has still been our bread and butter. And so we've been using Local Dominator to track all of that and performance. And like I was telling you earlier, we use Local Dominator for the sales process, and we use it for the reporting process. Like it has been a game changer for us, being able to just show people, especially people who don't quite know what SEO is or why it's important, and so to be able to show them a visual real quick and say, hey, here's your competitor, and here's why they're killing it, and why they're probably getting more calls than you, and here's yours, and here's why you're not. And it's like they just see that and go, okay, yeah, how do we fix that? I'm like, I'm so glad you asked. Let's get into that. So, yeah, it's been great.
That's the $1 million question, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
can you help
exactly.
me with
Yeah, we
that?
absolutely can. Let's talk about it.
What is we have that case study which we're going to talk, but is there a specific scenario that you can share that, the SEO that you guys have done took a company, let's say from, a small structure company, a guy in a truck, to something bigger, share with me because
Right,
I do know you have some of those. So share one if you
right, right. So when we first started, we were a generalist agency that worked with all types of contractors, and so it was very common for those clients to be the one man show with a single truck or van. The last year, we've actually niched down into the dirt world space. So we're really at this point, we still have a lot of those old clients with us, but because we've had so much success with dirt world guys that, and we define dirt world with land clearing, excavation, demolition, just those kind of industries are outside using big machines in the dirt. And that's what led to this case study of ours was it's these guys are a land clearing company, and we've just had significant success in these industries. So that's what led us to say, you know what, let's actually niche down and just help these guys. And so a lot of them start off by individual owner operator with one machine, and then as time goes on, they pick up a second machine, a second operator, and so forth and so on. As the years go on, then some of them get to the point where they've got 5 to 10 plus machines doing tens of millions of dollars and have crews that are heading in different directions. So it's been important for us to not just get some lead flow from one single city, but especially in the dirt world, they need about a dozen cities. They
want.
need a lot of opens because they're traveling to different areas. So it's very different than just working with like a plumber, electrician, roofer. These guys will sometimes go 100 miles to do large scale jobs because that one job might be a six-figure job. So they have no problem saying, "Hey, let's go 100 plus miles for that."
I like it. So it's a specially trade niche, right? It's
Yeah,
not just a
yeah,
general. So I think also from an agency standpoint, when you have this type of client, it's easier, right? Because you can also see how your agency is able to move the needle from them, right? If they are
right,
servicing 100 miles, they didn't get calls from up north or whatever it is.
right.
And I've seen the grids, right? They get greener and greener and
Yeah,
greener all the way
yeah.
to, exterior onion ring. It's obvious that they will connect, the correlation between the marketing and, those jobs.
Right, exactly. Yeah, if they can get a job at a city that's 100 miles away and we're not doing any ads, they know. Like it's not because they had a local sign or someone saw their truck. They know that this came from our efforts, which we love because they're like, hey guys, we give you credit. And I'm like, thank you, appreciate that.
Send me that whiskey at some point.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, can we come to the employee Christmas party?
I literally had one time that I said that to somebody. I was like, man, send me a little drink or something. Like,
One of the things, literally, one of the things I'm doing, side note, is some of these guys are big hunters and I like hunting. And so if they're in my state, I'm like, hey, if we can reach these other cities, would you mind letting me have a hunt? This because some of those hunts are like, 10 grand, 5 grand. And so I've had a few guys who are like, yeah, we own 1,000 acres. Come hunt with us. I'm like, let's go, let's
damn.
go. Okay.
You did well with their marketing if they allow you to
Yes.
do that. Like
Yes.
that's another thing with clients, right? And until we get to a point where we earn their trust, we earn their, we earn our credibility and all those things, it's not yet really clicks in, right? But when
Right.
you know that the agency, like what you did for them, is their competitive advantage,
Right.
they want to click in with you
Right.
in any way possible. Because
Right.
here's another thing. What you're doing, it's a very niche down and it's a very specific. So it's quite hard for somebody in that industry to find somebody that they know that will get it done for them.
Right.
When they do, they shouldn't let that person go. In that case, it's you. And I've seen it
Oh,
with
for
my
sure.
little things, like my
Yeah.
customers.
And I mean, you do SEO, like
Yeah,
SEO 10 years ago was way easier than it is today.
yeah,
And I tell these guys all the time, I'm like, I'll even show you what we do. I'll show you all of our SEO methods, tips, and tricks. And then I say, but are you wanting to become a part-time marketer? Like, because that's what's going to take. You can't just sit there and do that in your free time without becoming somebody who's doing this for a living. And so that's been helpful. It's actually, as the years have gone on and it's gotten harder, it's made it more important to hire a marketing agency. And when one does a good job, that to not let it go, because we all know there's a lot of bad actors in our space that don't do a great job. They'll promise the world and then they so underdeliver that people feel scammed. And so
yeah,
that's helped as well over the years to eliminate more and more competition because you can show these kinds of results to clients or soon to be clients and they feel better about trusting you and paying you to do that because you're like, we've got a track record for years. And specifically with our agency, we don't do any contracts. So for us, they like to hear that because they're not locked into something. So if there is a scam or something, or you're not doing a good job, they can jump. But we tell them, I don't mind, doing no contracts because I'm going to show you some really good results, even in the first 30 days. That's
yeah.
going to make you want to stick around and keep paying us. So
Yeah. Is
we
there a
want to grow
specific
together.
is there a specific tip or trick that you can share when you start your first 30 days campaign? What are the things that you usually focus on? Kind of like in a
Oh,
high
man.
level of things. What would you say are the
Yeah.
things you want to hit?
Absolutely. I think so many marketers don't. Well, let me back up. We heavily focus on map rankings, right? And again, that's why local dominator is so important to us, right? We want to track map rankings, not website rankings. So that being said, I think a lot of guys who focus on map rankings put so much emphasis on the off-page stuff which is important, right? Backlinks, citations, and all that, totally important. But I think a lot of times marketing agencies don't put enough emphasis on the on page SEO, even when focusing on map rankings. I think there's still like 80% of the work to get good rankings is still website bound and not just off page. And so if you don't do a good job optimizing really, really well around the correct keywords, then doesn't matter how many citations and backlinks and signals that you put out there, you're just going to get mediocre results. And so we've seen that happen numerous times. And then as we got better at figuring out the on-page stuff and then started doing our off-page, it just shot through the roof. We've had so much better and faster results by doing it that way.
I agree. Um, and it's quite interesting because we both agree on that. However, it's not necessary. So if we have 10 marketers here, not all 10 would agree that on page should be the first
Hmm.
thing you do. And I've
Hmm.
seen many scenarios. Matter of fact, 3 days ago, I spoke with an agency that is doing something else. They don't even think about the on page
Yeah.
just months down the road. So
Right.
it's not it's not a default thing. So I think each agency have their own thing, and we also do the same thing.
Right.
For us,
Right.
that's the ground rule, that's the ground base, and
Right. And you build on that. Yeah.
exactly. So let's take a
Yeah.
little step further. So first, usually first phase, you go into the on page. I'll let you share like little stuff, and then what's the next phase usually after that?
Yeah. So, and again, in our industry, we've got guys who have garbage websites or no websites. So, and I know there are industries that are ultra competitive, right? Like some of the white collar stuff, even like roofing, some of the blue collars are super competitive. So, like they're both coming, if you got two guys that are competing, it's like, well, it's already well optimized. What's one little step? And I get that. So, for us guys who are bringing us garbage websites or barely optimized websites, I usually just start with super fundamentals. I'm like, where are your H1s? What does the title look like? What does the description of the site look like? Most of the time they're missing their description, or the title is just their business name or the word home, right? For homepage.
I love those.
Things like that. I'm like, just come on, guys. Like we're missing just easy opportunities to start optimizing. So title, description, all the H1s, then put the H2s correctly. And then we're utilizing keywords and interlinking. I mean, it's like all the 101 stuff that we should be doing, but it's crazy how many times somebody will hand us something from another agency and they didn't even do those like super
Yeah.
basic things. And they wondered why, like, we just never got results. I'm like, well, then this is gonna be fun because we're gonna get you results. I'm not even worried about getting you results. We're gonna get it because you're handing me like junk. Like, let's go. We're gonna automatically do better. So we start with that, and then the next thing we've really been hammering lately is service pages. It used to be where we would just maybe do one service page or two or three, and then kind of mix some of them together like, oh, okay, these are related services, so let's just put them on one single page. And we've actually been spending more time pulling them apart and creating every single service page and then linking those correctly, to homepage or wherever else we need to go. And then in the map listing as well, optimizing around each one of those service pages in the map listing is connected or is matching terms of title or service title to the website. So now we're like getting unified information all from map listing to website for our clients. And that's some of the stuff that we're just seeing is moving the needle. And then all your off-page stuff, press releases, citations, all of that.
Right on. So let's procrastinate on that for a second because on page has so many things, especially when you get into location pages, right? And there's so many theories, there's so many practices, some are
Right.
good, some are bad. Let's break down, your favorite structure, starting from the URL structure. How do you like to structure it? And let's go down a little bit down the page. Share with me a little bit. What's the formatting that you guys like to use? How do you like to structure your URL? How do you like to structure different things on the page? Any
Man,
elements that you
we don't get too we don't get too nerdy on that part for
okay.
us. Again, our niche is so niche down. Again, there are a lot of guys who aren't even doing SEO, so we don't have to get really complex on some of that stuff. And again, that's the part of the case study was, we saw significant results. Now Texas is competitive, so we got a little bit more nerdy with his, but a lot of these guys we don't do that. So URL structure, we keep a simple structure. For the page structures, it's like H1 content, H2 content, H3 content. Like we're really heavy on the content piece. We may mix in photos or whatever for the aesthetic piece, but really we're keeping a pretty simplified
Hmm.
structure there. And then each page has its own schema markup, and now we're really starting to think through what do we need to do in addition to that for AEO and start showing up for all the AI search stuff as well. So now we're embedding the FAQs in each one of those service pages that are, we'll actually use like Grok or ChatGPT to figure out key phrases that people are starting to write out. And then we'll use those on homepage and each service page. And then we'll use that in the schema as well.
Nice. By the way, a local dominator will do that in 2 weeks.
I thought I saw something about that. I thought
Oh,
I saw something.
it's gonna be super cool. I'm stoked.
Yeah.
Well, we are moving to the AI, era,
Yep.
and we are moving from search on Google to kind of search everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's a force that's going to hit the marketplace
Right.
regardless if you want it or not. So as an agency, we have to adopt. So it sounds like you guys already adopt, and I will share it from my standpoint. I think that a lot of the things that works today also works for all the AI stuff and all the LLMs.
Yeah.
Is a very similar, same lady, different dress kind of style.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is is off page though. There's a lot of stuff
Right.
related to LMs that it is off page.
Right.
What are the things that you usually focus on when it comes to off page, or specifically, for example, for this client, what are the major thing that made it impactful for you guys and made the needle move a little bit when it comes for on page related stuff?
Yeah. The top two would be using Yext and getting all those citations figured out and dialed in, as many as possible. And then the press releases, and using that Google API to pull in the actual map listing at the bottom of each one of those press releases has been huge. So, I mean, and then you got a few other little things, but man, just taking care of those two things and doing it well has been great.
Yeah. I
And then
mean,
each press release, we actually will cycle in a different location. That's
mm,
again the other strategy for us, because we're trying to go after dozens of cities, not just one or two like a typical contractor needs. So for us, we have to cycle out those. And if it's in a competitive space, we'll even add in some of those location pages into the website and start utilizing those inside the press releases.
nice. So, in other words, it is pretty much the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Nothing changed, nothing just new under
Right.
the sun. Still get the PRs,
Right.
still get the citations done properly.
Right.
It is
Yep.
important. Um,
Right.
and yeah, I think if we're stacking the fundamentals, then the rankings are on Google,
Right.
LLM, all of those things. Um, what do you do when you have like a roadblock? Is there anything specific, like, did you guys do to zoom out to kind of figure out, like, all right, this didn't work. What do we do now? Usually up
Yeah.
several months in. Because I
Yeah,
have.
when we've had roadblocks, which occasionally we do, we'll first go back and just relook at everything we did. Did we screw up? Every once in a while, we messed up something. We put the wrong keyword in there, and so we were tracking a different keyword than the one we really optimized for. So that is
Mm,
sometimes just an oversight where you're like, the whole team is thinking about one keyword, but why isn't it not ranking? We go back and look, and we're like, well, guys, look, like we really shifted into a similar keyword, but that's not the one. So looking for things like that, any problems we may have, usually it's an optimization problem. Like that's our biggest problem most of the time. Then it's okay. Off page, are our citations matching all the NAP, right?
yeah.
And then are there any competitive backlinks we can start getting beyond the press releases that we can release? So then it's really like, can we now outperform whoever we're stuck behind? That occasionally does happen, but yeah, usually it's what did we do wrong before it's how do we outperform the next guy?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I'm looking at the grids right now. I'm looking at the case study grids and stuff.
Hmm.
They have major difference. I mean, this is a 60-mile radius that
Yeah,
got them, to be, you know, 2.75, 72% on their top, uh,
right,
their share of voice there. So, and that's for their major keyword, right? So, uh,
right. Forestry mulching, and the whole circle is an 11,000 square mile radius. There's 40 to 50 cities in there
that's
that now
insane.
for one map listing that under that one keyword now that they're getting picked up for.
Man, they better buy you a beer.
Yeah, well, we're 3.5 years into doing SEO, so I mean, after 3.5 years, we better be doing better than one or two cities.
That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Unfortunately, we are getting to the end of time. Josh, is there anything else you kind of want to share about the case study or in general, maybe a tip for agencies or business owners?
Yeah,
Marketing.
I think what, and we briefly got into it, is the new search, the AEO, right? All the AI search is a thing. We're actually seeing it for our own agency. Like we're getting leads coming in. I look at my Go High Level and it says organic, and I
Hmm.
know we're not ranking nationally. So when I see that, I know we're pulling in, and I'll ask sometimes. I'm gonna go, hey, how'd you find us? Because normally we run Facebook ads for our own agency. So when someone finds us organically, I'll say, how'd you find us? And 9 times out of 10, they're saying we asked chat or Grok or Cloud or one of those. And even a guy from Maui, right? We're in Texas, and they all the way out in Maui asked chat, and they found us. It kept recommending us. And so I would say your SEO that you've been doing, the meat and potatoes, keep doing that, right? But it is, I think you kind of briefly touched on it. There's some additional off-page stuff that's going on that helps with that.
Hmm.
So I think do the work on the on page, do a really good job. I think adding things like the FAQs and some other schema stuff is pretty cool. But off page, it's looking at the whole picture more than just Google, right? It's looking at like social media. It's looking at things like Reddit. Do you have a like we just started a Reddit account, which I'd never thought we would. We've launched another YouTube channel. Like we've got a podcast. So we're trying to be seen and found in dozens of places across the internet. And that is all giving these signals back for stuff like AEO. But the Google piece isn't changing. Like the way we optimize stuff is still the same. 10 years later, man, it really is a couple of things have changed, but not much.
I
It's still
know.
the same stuff. And I have played around with some of that like meteoric type stuff. If anything in terms of SEO you do to get meteoric results like super fast, it will drop at the same rate when it gets caught. And so I would say don't play around with that stuff. Stick to the basics, but be excellent at the basics. And watch it over time. Just keep investing in that. Watch over time how it just continues to increase.
I have to agree. I have to agree. And, you know, I'll say this, like any game, any sport that any player or an athlete have ever participated in, the
Hmm.
most important is the basic.
Yeah,
And they all practice the basic
right,
more than any other drill,
right,
more than any other drill.
right.
And thinking about it, where SEOs is trying to invent the game in a way, right? And we've seen it where you're trying to do
Yeah,
all blackouts, like
yeah,
black hat stuff, and try to game the system. You're like, oh,
yeah,
I'm gonna do
yeah.
that. You get a slap.
Stay away. Yeah.
You're getting carrots. You're gonna be happy for a few
Yeah,
days,
you're gonna
or
win for a little bit and it's gonna be awesome. But then the moment it drops, your clients are gonna be like, "What happened to my stuff?" And you're like, "Oh, we're working on that." And you're gonna lose trust. Like it's just not worth it. Don't play around with stuff like that. So invest in what matters, but stay away from the stuff that doesn't.
I agree. Basic
Don't
is
get
super
caught.
important.
Yeah.
Josh, super thank you.
Yeah,
Everybody,
thank you.
this is Josh from Blue Gold Marketing. If you have any questions, look him up on Facebook, Google it. You can find his website. They have a really nice website.
Thank
Um,
you.
I really appreciate you, Josh.
Yeah, appreciate you too.
The industry as well.
Well, you keep doing what you're doing, man. Thank you for the tools.
Thank you. Thank you.